Well, hey there, team, and welcome back to the channel, and welcome back to our Stationeers level 1 playthrough. Where's the sun? There's the sun. I thought I explained it, but you know, there's a lot inside my head that might not make it out my mouth. But in case it wasn't apparent, I could have sworn I mentioned I'm going to pull this solar panel down and put the data output on this side. That's obvious when you think about the way I'm powering. I think someone was sort of trying to correct me. I'm not having a go. Perhaps I didn't actually verbalize correctly what my plan was. But yeah, ultimately, that's why we have a separate power line that's going to go there and then a data line that will run around out the back. And we'll plug that in. There's just no need to pull that down at the moment, especially when it's generating charge for my pseudo grid, which I've done there because, you know, we're basically out of power at the moment. But ultimately, everything's going along swimmingly. We just need more what do you call it? Bloody cable, right? And if you were to go and switch this out and double check, that's what we really need to do today is get some more copper, basically. So that's what I'm going to do. Maybe we go adventuring this way. Oh, my dude's hungry as well. Oh, that's alright, I've got some potatoes. Iron. Got a volatile out here. That's cool. Going behind this hill. What is that? It's like cobalt or something? What is that? Yeah, cobalt. There we go. One thing I could use is the new compass bearing. That's pretty awesome, you know. But yeah, definitely looking forward to a mining alternative to this. What I was thinking about, I don't know if I've verbalized it. It all turns into one playthrough, and you know, I end up standing in the shower solving the world's problems, thinking about builds for this game as well. So I don't know where the stream of consciousness on YouTube ends, and and me thinking about it off the channel begins. I have launched, and that's not great. So I was thinking about what if I used the new sort of drill things. Stuff this. We're gonna mine. We're gonna have a bit of a copper mining session while I chat. So I haven't done it on this playthrough, but I did it on the last one. It's one of the newer things they've introduced. It's an early mining technology. Essentially, you dig big bloody holes. It's like test boreholes for anyone familiar with, you know, like geology and geographical survey. You dig this really thin but really deep hole, and it will give you an idea of the strata below. And you can use that as essentially like a sounding rod, you know, to give you an idea of where best to dig. So I thought, just because it's large doesn't mean we can't use that. It seems to do like a unit square digging hole, or like a big one. So what if we were to use that to dig just a random bloody hole in the ground, or maybe use a ground penetrating radar? But the problem is, they might have reworked the research, but the GPR is actually pretty late game from what I understand. But maybe it is more early game. Maybe what I'm suggesting is exactly what they want us to do. Okay, I've gotten confused and I didn't... So what I'm sort of getting at... Is that my hill over there? No, that's my hill over there. Is what if we make a ground penetrating radar, which essentially links to your little iPad tablet in a small radius. It'll give you basically X-ray vision on a glow of any sort of material that's under there. We dig the bloody hole, and then we go down, like, we take the ground penetrating radar down the hole. We can chip a hole into the side of the survey tunnel that we bore out in the ground, and then we could plant the penetrating radar halfway down. I don't really know how deep it does, but like potentially we could use that hole to scan all the way down the depth, the length of that hole for more ore, and then decide where we're going to drill the next hole. It might be an interesting sort of way to go about mining. It's very unconventional, that's for certain. Now we're running off this little power bloke here. Might as well get that last lick of sun. What's that going to give us? 18 cable. I'll take it. Might not be enough, but that's right. We get the ball rolling, you know? Oops. And we've got a suit filter problem. Not a big deal, we'll just have to build a new filter at some point. Okay. So, we'll run our power line along here. Get my cable cutters, they might come in handy. Without a doubt, they'll come in handy. Just do that, so much quicker. That won't actually need to go all the way in this particular case, but in the future it could. Yeah, cool, so that's that feeds the power. Yeah. And then essentially we'll have a runoff cable here that will go back onto our grid, effectively. Alright. Right, so all that data's talking. That's all linked up. Essentially, I'm mostly just interested in linking all the holes up. Oh, we'll need more cable. Might as well pull this down while I'm at it. Sorry for the confusion, team. More and more I'm thinking maybe I didn't actually explain it properly. But yeah, so... we want that option like that, and we want power on that side and data on this side. That's what we want, right? So now that's hooked up to the power. That's the idea. There probably will be a cleaner and more compact way to do this, but at least I'm tracking what's going on. I managed to confuse myself with the short circuit. You know, I'm sure I'm not the first bloke to have done that. And I think sometimes the humble pie is the way to go, you know? Like if you stuff up and you're like, oh man, I've brain farted, I've overthought it or whatever, I've missed some basics. Then just strip it out. Strip it out and go back to first principles and unconfuse yourself. It's just like untying a knot. But I wonder, and I'm guilty of doing it as well, but I think a lot of people want to save face and will double down. Okay, so... probably put that back on the dish, eh? Oh, we're gonna need this already. The reason I use it lets me do this, like cheeky, easy combo of cable. sort of fills in the gaps. Oh, hang on. Oh, whoops. No, don't do that. Sorry, I went on autopilot a little bit too much there. My bad. We don't want the data crossing over. Just want to keep it all separate. Okay, so there you go. All the data is there. The only thing that's sort of missing is this. Is the sensor. So what I'll actually do is this. Drill that out. In fact, we'll even drill out that corner too. Just in case the facing matters. I'm almost certain it doesn't. But I'm almost certain. I'm not certain. Alright, so we're going to drill this bloke out here. Yeah, that looks good. Daylight sensor. Nice. Alright. Oh, come on. There we go. So he's now hooked in. So all the data is all part of that little grid now, basically. And we got power passing, well, power passing through there. The only sort of embuggerance is how we're going to sort of run the grid. You know what I might do? What I might do... It's getting messy, but I'm committing. I'm committing to the mess. Might run the data cable around like here. Can't really run it. I mean, we can sort of run it along here for a little bit. I'll mark out. They can't share a corner, I don't think. Oh, they can. Interesting. No, they can't. That was only because of my my doodacky. Right. This is definitely a mess of cables, but funnily enough, I think this as like it's not the most efficient cabling, but as a sort of first principles, laying it all out so it's clear, I think it's probably not that bad, actually. I don't like that my battery's going flat, though. That's interesting. It kept going. It lost power for a little bit, but not enough to stop it. Cool. So what we'll do, we'll declutter a little. I'll essentially run the power main down the center of my walkway, along here, and it will have to rig in there instead of like here. So we'll reposition that box. Or we might even, yeah, zip around like that. Uh-oh. This is why you gotta supervise this shit. Alright. So, power main. Like this. Oh my god. Oh, you know what? We could have probably just detoured down here. Because we don't want the box in the sort of main thoroughfare, you know? What the hell? That doesn't seem right, does it? Well, that doesn't seem right at all. What is going on here? Now, this is a new bug, team. Dear developers. Holy shit. How do I fix this nonsense? Probably with a drill, like how I fix most things in life. Oh my god. That's not right at all.
Hunger, caution.
Okay. Jesus. I guess we're back in business. That was something else, eh? Alright, got a bit of hunger. Eat my muesli bar. Neglected the farm last night, so hopefully it survives. I know we were going to leave it for a day, but I actually can't remember which day that was, if we've already done that or not. Okay. Cool. And the only real missing part here is this. To put it all on the data network. Nice. So, everything's bloody good to go, basically. So, we're just going to have to turn it all on and get it all working. Turn that on. Okay, so logic reader. It's going to take an input from the... Oh, sorry, I need the screwdriver, I think. It's going to take input from the detector. Daylight sensor, right? And the variable will be solar angle. Now, unfortunately, there is no power in this system at the moment. Oh, it's probably because it's not facing shallow enough. Oh. We'll see if that hurts us because it's back to front sort of thing. Okay, now we've got power, so now we should be grooving. Oh, it's because we've rigged it into the main, so this main battery is actually drawing out from the small one. Right? So if we switch them around like that, for the moment at least, that should make life infinitely easier. There we go. I couldn't figure out what was going on, but the main grid was overdrawing. Okay, cool. Solar angle. 79. That's a good read, actually. Straight up would be 90. Sure. So I'm happy with that. So at the moment, that's reading 79. Cool. Math unit here, we want that to take that 79. Logic reader. And we want a math input as well, right? Which will be this, which we want to set as a hard variable. Now, how do we do this again? 100 is a bit excessive. Oh, I can use the labeler, can't I? Hold C for smaller increments. But, oh, that's right. And these little knobs go smaller again. All right, so what we want is actually 1.8, right? And take that solar angle and we divide it by 1.8. Input logic memory, and then we'll go divide. So now it should be outputting 54 from 99, right? Which as an angle, that will be the angle that we send, essentially. All right? So as far as a writer goes, we're going to take this from the math unit. So it's going to take math. It's going to output to solar panel. And it's going to write specifically to, not the horizontal, but you'll see it's starting to do that anyway. All right, that's better. So we're going to have to correct that. I think it should stop. It's just moving to where it got. There we go. Just moving to where it went in the first place. All right. And then I think if I do, no, oh, C, sorry. 90. And there we go. Now it's working. So if we watch this thing now, you can see it's slowly moving and it's keeping a pretty steady efficiency as well. Now it's not going to be 1-to-1, all right? Because I won't unplug it now, but you know how I could move this in 10-degree increments between 0 and 100. 100 degrees on this, it's actually at a slight angle. Like it's not 100% horizontal. So that 100% arc is not actually indicative of a 180-degree arc. Can you follow me? You know, I'm pretty sure I use the right words. You just got to make sure you can get your head around it, right? So if this thing, in fact, as a percentage of 100 moved through a full 180-degree arc, then we would have pure efficiency. But you can even see here it's offset a little bit, right? And that's because this arc is not that precise. So what can we do about that? Well, we probably actually could come up with more complex math. It wouldn't be a straight dividing number, right? Because it's got a shallower arc, essentially the 10%, the movement of 10% at the low end of the arc would actually be proportionally different to, say, a 10% at the top of the arc. It'll probably move through a longer distance up here and a shorter distance down low, if you follow what I mean. So it's not actually a universal incremental change. When it says 10%, it's not really a true 1/10 of the thing's range of movement. So you'd actually have to come up with a fairly complicated, what you could probably, the first step you could do is come up with a constant like 1.8, but it might be like 1.9 or 1.85 or something, and it might be a little cleaner across the board, but it's not going to be 100% efficiency. But you could do it. You could probably math it out. I haven't bothered to, because to be perfectly honest, look, it's running at around 80% efficiency, generating a shitload of watts around the clock. It's pretty good. Pretty good to have. Now, interestingly, there is still a fault in my system, right? that we could overdraw. So like at the end of the night, we can overdraw this power source, right? The whole reason for having that separate power source was like, say we flattened the grid, we would at least have a backup power source to still power the dish at night. That's not how this is work, and I showed that by example, or sorry, by accident. I showed an example of where the grid will just draw straight from this battery as well. So it needs some refinement. I'm pretty sure you can do it. I'm pretty sure I used to do it, but for whatever reason, I've had a brain fart and had a hard time working it all out. But look, for the time being, that's fine. All we got to do is just make sure that we don't draw our grid down too far. Otherwise, ultimately, we would have to manually reset the dish to get some juice flowing, to then fuel the logic, to then create the cycle of the dish. So it's not it's not 100% self-sufficient just yet. Let's check in here. What's going on with the cold for these? 6 degrees. That is troubling. Lucky we might have to just hot this room up a bit, to be perfectly honest. There's not going to be enough pressure. Someone commented, what was it? 5 MPa for the pipes, which is wonderful. Yeah, look, it is warm in here. It's too warm and they're dying, right? But that low pressure, as soon as we squirt in, I mean, we'll see how we go, but it's still going to be too cold, I would say. Oh, I don't know. Maybe that's the trick. Do it every 2 days, you know?
Power low.
That's interesting. At 46 degrees, it's not wilting. These things are bloody sturdy. They were, though, so maybe when they hit around 50, you know, because we've obviously opened up the area for this as well, you know. So in half the area it would be affected. Set outward, yep. And that one little squirt's brought it down quite a bit. Oh, that's worked out all right, actually. 14 kPa, we could get more pressure. Let's do it. Use this rare opportunity. 22 degrees. One more squirt I think we could hazard. Yeah, perfect. 18 degrees. Nice. That's nice. So, we will close this up. We will set inward. We will harvest this warm air. Okay. That's worked out surprisingly well. So if we do have a bit of a heating issue, we can probably just leave the rounds for a day and let it sort of cook itself a little bit. The potatoes seem to last an extra day, which is good, which is great. Plus, we grow potatoes on the daily so quickly, it couldn't hurt to just do it every 2 days. It helps free me up for work rate as well. Now you can see this. The dish does some strange stuff here. Right, so the logic's still working. It's still talking to the dish. But what's going on? Well, it's clearly receiving a solar angle input. And have a look at where it's looking. It seems to be looking in the direct opposite direction of where it is. So, somehow the solar sensor can track the sun regardless of whether there's line of sight or not. It can track it through the dirt, through the entire bloody planet. But I mean, it might not be that, like, it might be more complicated because I as far as I can understand, this isn't actually a technically round planet that exists, like, say, Astroneer. It's an infinitely procedural, like Minecraft, flat surface. It's a flat Earth, from what I can understand. So, I'm not really sure. There's something about when the sun goes out of line of sight or whatever. Like, maybe the sun does, in fact, orbit at a really long... In fact, I'd be curious. I bet you that's what it is. I bet we're on a flat plane that procedurally grows as you move further out, infinitely. But you also have this light source set a very long way away, the sun, that's orbiting this flat piece of ground that gets procedurally generated. Anyway, that's just my thoughts. We got there in the end. The logic works. Feel free to chime in with any questions or thoughts or anything like that. I'm probably really not going to refine it that much more. But in the end, we got around it. But like I said, this isn't really behaving as a pass-through, right? Not in the sense that I want it to. But look, you got to take the good with the bad, I suppose. And when I think about it, actually, like, it might have to be that we create like a split and do a parallel power draw. So like that feeds into the grid and it feeds into that separately. In fact, that's 100% what we should do. Yeah, I think that's what we would. That's probably the answer that I totally forgot about, right? So essentially at this point, we would have the power split off. In fact, that could fix the whole problem. I think what I'll do is put that to there, cut this cable, right? So this solar panel goes round onto the main, right? But it also feeds onto that, which services this whole side section. That is the answer. There you go. I figured out the answer. It's because I managed to scramble my brain and get myself in trouble there. All right, I'm going to stop waffling. I'll fix that when we get back to it, if I remember. Remind me. All right, team. Thanks for joining me. We might just leave it there for the time being, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.